here in the Irish Cultural Centre in London, which is great. It's really lovely for me because it's a return to London as well. I lived in London back in the 80s as a wild young man in Soho, but that's another story for another day. So I'm here giving a talk and showing my work, and it's called Portraits 1993 to 2025. So I suppose in some senses it's an overview. It's a small selection of the work that I've done, which includes portrait commissions, work that I've done for aid agencies like Trocra and Self Help Africa, coffee companies, and I suppose it's to just give a sense of what stops me as an artist and as a photographer. So it's on until September 19th, I think, in the National Gallery. 2 years ago, I won the Portrait Prize, the National Gallery of Ireland Portrait Prize, which was a lovely experience. And when I won the prize in the National Gallery, the ceremony was held in the big Shaw room of the National Gallery, and I told this story about how I finished my school career by sailing past the school on the number 7 bus, looking back and saying, oh, well, I don't appear to be going to school today, and I ended up in the National Gallery. And I said it's where I began my real education as an artist, if you like, by looking at the stories and the, feasting on the storytelling and reading books and everything. So I was there for 3 months, and it's where I started. And for me, there's that lovely phrase by Yeats about where our ladders begin. And in a sense, my artistic life, in a way, began few rungs up the ladder, maybe in Soho. So it's a return to London, and I love this space. It's a really, really lovely space. I love the ambience of the Irish Cultural Centre here in Hammersmith. So my pictures are here, and
Now, behind your head, you need to look, is the actual photograph that I think is the one that won this.
It is.
Zurich Award?
It was the Zurich Award at the time. It's now the AIB Award, but it's the National Gallery Portrait Award. So
that is an extraordinary image.
It is.
How did it come about?
Okay, well, I'd love to tell you. Yeah, because this arriving at a photograph, or arriving, as you would well know, Shay, because you go out, with documentary as well. You go out and, scripted to a certain extent, but a lot of the time you don't, and you're prepared for receiving the magic, and sometimes it happens and sometimes it doesn't happen. So I was recovering from COVID 3 years ago, and I dragged myself down to Wexford just to have a couple of days in a hotel, and I went out to the main street, with my camera, just saying, oh, come on, have a look here. And nothing was really happening. So I on my way back to the car, I saw this little scenario of the red coat and the divide in the window. And sometimes that's all you need, is a little invitation. And then you go closer, and that's kind of what it is. And then a door opens, and then you begin to see other things. And what I love about that image is the divide, and the fact that the condensation has kind of covered Ollie's face. It's Anne and Ollie is their name. They're married, they've been married for quite a long time, I think. I've always been drawn to images where there's a kind of a veil, there's a kind of a haziness over the image. I've always been interested in what is the well that inspires an artist, if you like. And for me, it's definitely an event that happened in my earlier life with the death of my father and everything. And, I was just thinking of Errol Morris, who, the great documentary filmmaker. He said, and I'm kind of paraphrasing it, that all his films were, in a sense, a search for his father. That's how that happened. And it's quite random, but I like to think that, it's 250th or 400th of a second, but my feeling as being a lens-based artist is that this arises out of a lifetime of looking, basically. And I saw this moment, and it was just obviously it's the look on her face, and it's the call of the red thing. But that lovely phrase by Roland Barthes, the punctum of an image, that thing in an image that takes us away from the conditional way that we look at imagery. And for me, it was the napkin on the plate which indicated to me that maybe they're about to leave, they're about to carry on with their life, and that little stage, other actors will sit into it and move on again.
So
this woman over here, this is shot in San Salvador, which is the capital of El Salvador. And I was working there for Troker, I think it's 25 years ago now, you know. And again, it's, for me, the uniqueness of photography. So it was a mountain village, and I went up, I went off for a little wander by myself. And I turned around a corner and I saw this woman sitting outside her house, this stunning looking woman. And I lifted the camera as if, you know, is it okay? And she smiled and nodded, but she composed herself and she took her shoes off. And if you look in the picture, her shoes are perfectly placed beside her. And I think I shot 3 frames and I went away, and that was it. And for me, that's the inherent beauty of photography, is that it's not necessarily a collaboration. Sometimes it is, but it's a moment between 2 people. And I suppose the gift, if you like, is being able to recognize that split-second moment when there is something there other than the smile to camera. That, you know, so yeah.
She threw off the shoes. And
oh, she absolutely, yeah. She absolutely loved it, yeah. And you know what? Completely. And you know what I think sometimes as well? I think maybe, and this is, I'm not sure whether this is true. Maybe it's just a kind of artistic, but maybe I think that sometimes when people have their picture taken, that there's something in us that it's a way of elongating our life or our existence, because all photographs are memories, you know. And
I haven't had a chance to look, but
no, sure,
for
Shag.
instance, there's one here. I like photographs of people mass time.
Well, that's, to me, that's quite an iconic picture. That was, I don't know if you remember, that was shot in 1993 in Féile. Do you remember Féile?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, actually, Shay, they say if you remember it, you weren't there.
Yeah. I don't think I was ever there, but I remember.
Well, I was, and I do remember it. But so what it was 93, okay, and it was, as you know, in Ireland, it was a time of huge change. It was like we were, you know, removing the shackles of Catholic grey Ireland, you know. So, and it was a wild festival. Like it was in Thurles. And I remember, you know, 3 o'clock in the morning, you know, the main street in Thurles it was one big party. But I never remember any heavy vibes or anything like that. And people were selling beer from their front door on the main street and everything. So it was just a moment. It's just a moment. And there's a contradiction in it, I suppose. You know, there's six people there, and you know, one of them is definitely quite inebriated. Having a few drinks and everything, and beside it there's a huge big sign, which is the lovely contradiction, if you like, in the picture, or the tension, if you like, between one world and another world, and a world in a sense that was maybe leaving, hopefully, which was the mass times and all the times in the cathedral, and then this group of young people having fun, you know. It was just it was a lovely moment, and the composition, and I couldn't resist it. And yeah. So I like working on projects. You know, my film Raymond. I think it was 3 or 4 years that I visited him in this amazing house in Cavan, this incredible man, and that was a photographic and film project as well. But I would tend to work on I like working on projects. I like the idea of familiarity, going back again and again and again to the same place. Like one of my great influences is Eugene Richards, the American photographer, and he works out of the community of Dorchester in Boston, and he keeps on going back and again and again. So that's for me where you get the gold. But then again, of course, you have moments like this picture of Anne and Ollie, where it's just, you know, it's just kind of random, sort of, you know.
So tell me one more time a little bit more about. Somebody said every time you take a photograph, you're looking for your daddy. What do you mean?
Well, you said daddy. I didn't say that, by the way. Father. Let's say father. Me and Nuala do have a good laugh about that. Well, it was just it was a period in my life where, you know, I was born into a house of art and paintings, and both my parents were artists, and you know, he died after an illness of a year or so, and it was just an area in my life, I think, and I don't think it's any coincidence I chose photography, because there's something very ephemeral about photography. It's very much about passing through, and in a sense it's about absence as well, you know. So that's that's what I meant about that, you know, but I mean, I don't know, I'm interested in that thing of you know, where does the well begin? Where do the ladders begin in artists, you know? So what it was, I grew up in this house. I mean, he died when I was 3. So his absence was everywhere, but his presence was everywhere. So, yeah, it's not a coincidence I chose photography.
What did he do in his life, may I ask?
He was a prolific painter, and so yeah, landscape painter, portrait painter, prolific painter.
Great. Okay.
So
Just mention a few pictures.
yeah, okay. So there's one here. This one here. This is a granard. It's called these two.
Similar table scene.
It is a similar table scene. This was taken a few years ago, and again, it was taken with a Pentax 6.7, and that's what I came upon. And it was like, so I just said to them, "Do you mind if I take a picture?" And you know, they did. And I just said, "You know, carry on with your food." But it is a very powerful image. Yeah, I mean, it's a huge print, by the way.
Sits well
with Annie and Ali. Yeah. So that's
Okay, give me one more.
kind of thing that I kind of stop. So yeah, how about this one, Kathleen here with the cigarette in her mouth, a traveller family from Braid that I got to know for a few years, and you'd go up and sit with her, Kathleen, and she was great fun, a powerful person. I think she had 9 children and lost quite a few kids as well.
The show is running, it opens tonight, and it's going to run till September.
September the 19th, yeah.
And can people buy the pictures?
Yes, they can. All the pictures are for sale. They're £300 each, which is a very competitive price.
It's a very good price.
Well, it is. Look, I have a real soft spot for the cultural centre and London, and I like the idea of people buying my images. They're editions as well. So, yeah. So that's so. Please come in and buy some pictures.
Yes.
Just enjoy the pictures.
Right. Okay, that's great.
Brilliant.
I think I'm good.